Yes, indeed. His name is Sekuba Babino. He comes from Guinea. This one is called Landaya. It's one of my all-time favorites. This is the Truth Breakfast Show. We're doing our best entertaining you, give you the best in early morning radio presentation. Today, we have with us, that's a great privilege to have with us the Minister of Youth and Sports, Eugene Nagbe. A very strong comments last evening. He's identified the unemployment situation of young people in the country as a serious concern that borders around national security, and he has called on all actors, both the private and the public actors, to do something about this to reduce the number of unemployed young people in the country. So good morning, Mr. Minister, and welcome to the Truth Breakfast Show.
Well, once again, I would like to say thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to talk this for the good of our country, and thank you for all the good things you've been doing so far. I want to give you the next few minutes to talk about, at least to reiterate and expand upon what you said yesterday. What was the event?
Well, I think it was the proper platform for me to call upon all of us who are policymakers, those who are in the private sector and whose activities impact the trend of providing employment for Liberian youth. And that was at a program where we were graduating 50 young people who had just completed training with funding from UNFPA in partnership with the Ministry of Youth and Sports to participate in the health sector, in the monitoring and distribution of reproductive health commodities. They were trained. We have been engaged with UNFPA to involve young people in the health sector at the entry level, with the hope that after they perform in the field, they can be assimilated into the health system. So it was a very critical component of our overall program, and we used the occasion to call on all stakeholders, including policymakers, both within and without the private sector, and within and without the government, to really focus on youth employment. Because like I said, the issue of youth unemployment is not just a social issue anymore, it's a national security issue.
What do you mean? What are you seeing that...
if you look at Liberia has an interesting demographic composition. The last census informed us that almost 70% of all Liberians can be categorized as youth. And of that 70%, there is also that group that is most afflicted by all of the scourges of society: unemployment, lack of access to the basic necessities of life, lack of education, and being more prone to disease. So if we are to develop our country and preserve the democracy that we have, it means the issue of youth empowerment has to be placed at the front burner in our national decision-making activities. And somebody asked me, so what is the government doing? We are doing a lot. But we still need to do more because of the size of the problem. It's a humongous problem, given how our country is. We have a country that is mostly young. So for us to address the issue of youth unemployment, there are a lot of activities that need to happen in concert, concomitantly with one another, instead of doing things in isolation. And this is the task that have been mandated to perform as the Minister of Youth and Sports, and this is a task that we are tackling, but I'm sounding the clarion call so that all of us can see this.
Why is it called necessary now?
Well, it's a continuation of the advocacy and action that I have been taking as the sector minister, and for us to focus on the key activities that will resolve the issue of youth unemployment. And the president herself has recognized this, and this is why she has taken several actions, including the composition of the National TVET National TVET Ministerial Committee, which was charged with the responsibility of completing the TVET policy and implementing reforms in the TVET sector. We are well advanced in our work, and we've gotten support both from the World Bank, from the government of Liberia, and from UNESCO. We have completed the draft National TVET policy, a TVET action plan is being formulated as I speak. Cabinet is expected to endorse the policy. So there are some soft issues. I call the policy issues the soft issues, and there are also some tangibles that are happening.
Okay, but Mr. I have to put this to you. This is not a new problem. It has been around for a very long time. In fact, one of the reasons that Liberian people elected the government was to do something about unemployment. You've been around for the past several years, and yet still, this is a problem that seems to continue. Are you losing the battle against unemployment to the extent that we can see that your government has failed?
Definitely not. In fact, quite to the contrary. The measures that have been undertaken are yielding fruits. But like I said earlier, because of the size of the problem, I think we need to do more. And we have put into place the adequate mechanisms already for these things to continue to happen. You know, just a few days ago, I was again at the state-of-the-art Monrovia Vocational Training Center with the Vice President and the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China. We have determined as a government that for us to address the unemployment issue, we have to address the unemployability issue. Because in cases where young people don't have skills, adequate skills and adequate capacity to work, then we can address unemployment without addressing capacity building, employability. So in cases where we have available jobs and young Liberians are not in the capacity, not trained sufficiently to access the jobs, then we will not be moving anywhere. So
this is the same thing I heard 5 years, 6 years ago.
But 5, 6 years ago, we haven't taken some of the action we have taken now. I just mentioned to you that a modern state-of-the-art technical training center will be completed in a few months. Go to the MVTC campus. We have insisted, along with our Chinese counterpart, that this will be a state-of-the-art and it will be responsive, we're not just trained for training's sake. It has been happening in the past. But we are training in projection, in anticipation of jobs that will be available on the market as our concessions come online and come on stream. So if you go to MVTC, which will take in thousands of young Liberians to train them and prepare them for the job market, that's just one area. We've also done a survey which has informed our actions. And this survey told us that there is also an issue that particularly people have been trained in areas where there are no available jobs. Computer science, social sciences. So we are trying to shift from these social sciences and these areas that has
so we come back
these
to the
areas that
same
have no absorptive capacity.
So we come back to the beginning. We come back to the same thing. Because you should have known that now. But from the beginning that the areas that you are training people in, we have no job for the areas. The thing is about as a government, you have to do, all your decisions should be informed by some level of survey. It should be well informed. Now you say you train people in areas that you can't find job for. So why did you train people in areas
but then you have to understand the genesis. I'm saying that we conducted a survey. The survey was in 2012 and it shows, it was released in 2013. It shows that most Liberians are being trained in areas where there are no real absorptive capacities. Now, the fact that we conducted such a survey in partnership with our foreign partners, the anticipation then when people were training, and some of the trainings are not government-sponsored training. Right now we have over 100 technical and vocational training centers in Liberia. I think about 300. Okay. And mostly private. So you open a technical training center, you start training people in computer science, you graduate thousands of young people, and then they are on the job market. They can't.
Why are you coordinating activities?
Yeah, and this is why, for the past 160 years, Liberia has now had a national TVET policy, and these things are technical. So we are at the completion stage of our TVET policy. We address all of the issues that you are talking about. The issue of accreditation of TVET institution, because people just go to the curriculum, a standardized curriculum that will be utilized in the sector. Also the issue of training of teachers themselves. You know, we have also identified funding so that by the 2014-2015 budget year, we can begin the transformation of BWI into a center of excellence for training. The president has insisted that has to happen. So all of these steps we are taking are not in isolation and not in disregard to the problems that we have. So yes, It's a continuous
Yeah, but
process. We have to keep,
these steps seem tangible, but
we-
yesterday you are expressing some concern that this is a
because
security
there
issue.
is
So
insufficiency.
for me, I see that you have doubt over the success of some of the things you're doing.
No, they are working, but I'm saying that we need to do more, and it is the recognition of this. Just 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Finance and I were in Washington D.C. and we made a presentation to the World Bank for additional support. We have a constricted fiscal space, a constricted budget space for us to operate. So where the government can come in, we have also recognized, and we've spoken to the World Bank and I've asked, and they have given us initial no objection for us to develop a larger scale employment scheme for young Liberians. And we're talking about 75 to 100 million dollars that is needed urgently for us to implement all of these things we need to do so quickly, because like I said, it is a national security issue, because you have youths who are not working, who are adult, who have skills, who some skills, some who don't have skills, but all who require employment. So I'm bringing this to the front burner. It has always been a priority, but it should be a priority of priority.
So, Mr. Minister, and I'm sensing your statement, your latest revelation, as many you frustrated in the lack of support towards your programs.
Definitely not. Like I said, we operate within a fiscal space. We have a budgetary allocation. I'm saying that it's insufficient. We have to do more, but I also recognize that there are competing priorities on the national budget. So what I'm saying is that we need a more collaborative partnership with the private sector, with government stakeholders, with the international community. And I have been sounding this clarion call over and over. And in my estimation, I think we have been receiving some positive responses. But to say that nothing is happening, things are happening. We just last week launched the second phase of the YES project that has trained and providing jobs to over 1,000 Liberian youth. But is that sufficient? It's not. Is the Liberian Youth Employment Program sufficient?
Intervention.
These are. We have to do things in parallel. It has to be like a cocktail of several measures. We can't just do one thing, because the youth itself is not. The youth are not just all in one category. There are youth with training, youth without training, youth who have aptitude, youth who don't have aptitude. So we have to have a series of measures, a series of approaches to tackle the problem holistically.
Okay, wonderful. His name is Eugene Nagbe, Minister of Youth and Sports. We're talking about his comments of last evening, where he said that we should consider the issue of youth unemployment as a national security concern, and he is calling on the mobilization of both private and public sectors to make sure that young people get some job to do. So let's move forward and talk about the issue that has to do with training young people. Apart from the MVTC that you just talked about, do you have any national holistic plan across the country to make sure that young people have access to at least training for jobs that are available?
Definitely, and all of this is captured in our national TVET policy that has been crafted. And the reason we have organized training, technical skills development in this manner is because, like I said, of the ad hoc nature that had existed before, where there will be spontaneous coming about of TVET institutions providing training that are not in sync with the labor market surveys that have been done, so that you train somebody and then they can access jobs. So we also involved with a lot of support, I must say, from the government and from the World Bank and UNESCO, to go to the next stage of developing some standardization of the curriculum, of the accreditation regime, of the teachers training regime, and all of these things are happening. I keep mentioning MVDC because it's the shining light of what we are doing. Also, we are about to reopen the Clay Agriculture Training Center in Bomi County with government, 100% government funding. We signed a partnership agreement with one group who will be reopening the Timutu Agriculture Training Center in Bon County. So there are things happening throughout Liberia. Just a couple of weeks ago, my deputy was in Sino County, where we done assessment now for the reopening of Panama. Once we resolve the issues with the county authorities who want to transform that into a community college, we'll proceed and reopen. So there are activities happening, tangible activities regarding training. but we need to rev it up more. And that's the reason why I made the comment that it's not just a social issue, but given our demographic composition, it's a national security issue. And we all must approach
And
it as
that's the scary point that I see, because unemployment has been identified as one of the reasons for a post-crisis country sliding back into violence.
Definitely, and this call that I've made is not in isolation. President Salif, when she was in Europe, spoke on the issue of youth unemployment on the continent, and she also identified youth unemployment as something that governments must tackle and we must give priority to. So we are conscious of our responsibilities, and we are taking the necessary actions and building necessary foundations necessary to address this. But because of the size of this problem, I think our response requires more. We require more responses in addressing, not just providing short-term jobs.
And I can feel that you will now win this battle against unemployment.
We will win because we are proceeding in a very scientific manner. Now, also, employment for young people in Liberia will not just come from the Ministry of Youth and Sports or from the government alone. Once we expand economic activities throughout the country, employment will be created. The government is taking a lot of infrastructure actions. The railway to Banga highway is being constructed. Most of those who are gaining employment in that corridor are young people. The government has gotten commitment and is still seeking additional commitment for the road between Ganta to Zweju. When all of these activities kick off and start happening, the airport is about to be, the runway is about to be constructed, a new airport will soon be built, the hydro is being done. So when all of these economic activities start gaining steam, then unemployment automatically, there will be more employment created. But what we're trying to do is to stimulate employment in the short term and medium term as Ministry of Youth and Sports. So this is why our LYEP program, though there are issues, also budgetary and funding issues.
Mr. Nagbe, do you think you have time? Because you have less than 3 years as a government. About 3 years as a government.
But nobody expects the government to employ all Liberians within 3 years.
Yeah, nobody is saying to employ
but we are making the impact that is necessary.
We are saying one of the reasons your government was elected was to
tackle the problem.
Yeah.
And there is reduction.
And many of you come into government with the experience, but yet still we see that you're very slow, things are not happening, you're complaining more than the citizens.
I wasn't complaining, I'm building. Why did I make the statement? We were employing 50 young people at the moment. We have also taken actions in restarting the National Cadet Program, where we have jump-started with 100 young people who have gone in the field and who, after their work, have been assimilated into the workforce. So there are actions taken. Now, I'm asking for additional action, for more urgency in what we do because of the size of the problem. And the problem is big, it's large. Look at the size. We are different from other countries because of how our demography is composed, where we have a very young population.
Okay.
And also where we have a young population that has a limited training because of our history, limited education because of our history again, and yet still we have to.
So you are hopeful before the government terms come to an end, there will be tangibles that.
There are tangibles. I'm not just hopeful. I know that
the issue of unemployment that you are concerned about will be minimized to an acceptable level.
Definitely, and it is.
The road projects will be completed. The promises you made will be achieved by a large extent.
But you can see things happening. It's not. I'm not just promising. I'm saying that within 3 months, the MVDC will be done. Within a year, the red leg Banga highway will be completed. It's already been worked on. We are getting funding for additional funding for the road between Ganta and Zweju to be paved. A first in the history of Liberia. So for people to say nothing is happening, I totally disagree because the evidence is there. But what I'm saying is that because of the issue, the critical issue of youth unemployment has come to the fore, we have to do more. And I was sounding a call to all of the policymakers within and without the private sector and government to do more, for us to build a stronger coalition so that we can address this humongous problem.
Okay, Minister, you are a politician by our definition of the word. You campaign across this country. for this government or for this president. We have about 3 more years to call it END for the LLA government. When you arrive at 2017 and looking back, what are some of the things you will see?
What I will see will be a consolidation of the activities that the president set out to achieve. I will see the hydro rebuilt. I will see a new airport. I will see for the first time in our history the road linking Monrovia to Hapo connected and paved. I will see the Banga-Manikoma highway being paved. I will see a lot of positive things. I will see more Liberians being educated because of the policies that the government has put into place. I will see an economy that is starting to booming further because the concessions will be on stream. I will see a lot of positive developments. I will see free press. I will see freedom of speech. I will see good governance being entrenched in our national fabric. So when I look back 2017, I will be proud.
So you will see all the good things that
because the evidence is there that these things are already happening.
Okay.
And they will be completed on schedule. You ask me what will I see in 2017? I will see a lot of positives. But I'm also a practical person. And I'm practical enough to recognize that because of some of the constraints we have, we will not achieve everything that is desired by the people of Liberia. Because it seems that the government is a victim of its own success. The more we do, the more the people yearn for. And that's a natural tendency of the human being. When we build the road from Monrovia to Buchanan, people wanted more. When we complete the road between Banga and the Guinea border, people are now already starting to demand that we complete the road between Zwedu and Ganta and the road between Zwedu and Fishtown. As we speak, the road between Hapo and Fishtown is a live project that is ongoing. So the more we do, the more the people demand, and that's the job of the government to keep responding to the growing demands of the people.
And as we march to those politically charged, and 2017, perhaps 2014 will be the starting point. What do you think about the succession plan of the president? Do you think she should have somebody around her to take over power? I'm interested in this succession plan.
But the president is proceeding with her succession plan properly. I say properly because the way to proceed with a succession plan, the way to proceed with a succession plan is to complete your tax, is to complete the infrastructure projects, is to entrench
do you think
democracy.
Vice President should be a good president?
She's doing that. The fact that he's a good vice president.
Yeah, I know you don't want to listen.
The fact that he's a good vice president means he can be a very good president.
I understand you are building up.
No, but you asked me a direct question.
Yeah,
no, I mean, he has proven to be a very effective and efficient vice president. So, I mean, based on the record, you have to look at the record. Based on the record that he has performed as a vice president means that he will serve as a very good president.
Is that something that's popular?
Something that is popular?
In the pipeline?
You know, I'm not imbued with the total. But it's not my choice. It's not my choice to determine.
I know your ears. Yes, you are very close to where the decisions are made.
No, but we have to agree.
Thinking about vice president.
I don't control the thinking of the Unity Party. As somebody who will contribute.
You're an asset.
Who will contribute to.
You told me the last time on the show that you will come with all of the strategy necessary to bring somebody, and that I will take the country forward and replace
but the first strategy that I'm participating in is to address the problems that we have now. And I think that is the focus of the president and the focus of the vice president and the focus of the Unity Party for us to complete these big legacy projects. And we are on
if you continue thinking about today too much and forget about tomorrow, when tomorrow comes you have
and the crew people say the best way to think about tomorrow, sit on the old map to plan the new one. So we have to make sure the old map is done properly. And then we have a good new map.
Yeah, but we shouldn't forget about tomorrow. Let's keep thinking about
we're not forgetting about tomorrow. We are preparing for tomorrow by doing those things that are required to be done today.
Who do we want to replace Madam Sadiq? That's my concern.
But it's not one person who's going to decide that. In the end, it's the people of Liberia who decide the next president.
Okay, Mr. Minister, what's the situation in the Wahala within the Liberia Federation of Youth?
Well, just yesterday, based on our request, my deputy, the Deputy Minister for Youth Development, received from the Convention Preparatory Committee of FLY all of the documentations required. We asked them to see the listing all the listing of the qualified candidates, those who are disqualified. We want to see how prepared they are for the
But you
convention.
don't put a who on it.
We have received the document, I said last evening, so as I speak now, we are reviewing them. All we want to see
But the announced election for this Saturday
is what the Ministry of Youth and Sports wants to see is that the elections are carried out freely, fairly, and in consonance with the Constitution of FLY.
But there were issues.
But there are issues. This is what I'm
Well, you
saying.
say just issue the document
From the CPC. The CPC is the group responsible to carry out the convention.
Wonderful.
So if we determine that they are in, which we expect that they will be in consonance with their own constitution, we have already given support through subsidy from government. So we want the elections to happen, but we want it to happen properly. So once all of the issues are resolved, which I can say, yeah, we're having, then we'll all be happy to see a new and effective leadership of FLY coming
Thank you
in.
very much. No Wahala, that one we'll see Saturday. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for sharing breakfast with us. We have a tradition here, so let's get some interaction from the public out there. 0777 469794 is the number to call.
0777 469793.
Okay, let me start this one. Good morning and welcome to the show. Good morning. Jeremy again. 0777469794 is the number to call. This is the True Breakfast Show. Our special studio guest is Eugene Nagbe, Minister of Youth and Sports. We're talking about a range of issues, specifically on the issue that has to do with his comment that national problem concerning the unemployment of young people. Good morning. Yeah, go ahead. You're welcome, Mr.
Good morning.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning. Go ahead, Mr. Silo.
Well, thank you. I think I will join the minister because the minister wants to be very important in our country, our youth unemployment. I think the rate is very high, and I think it's a national emergency to our small private sector to get involved and hire more young people. But I think we need to put that emphasis on vocational and technical aspects for young people because we have some skills youth in our country, which of course we have not done a decent job of really engaging them. So I think the emphasis should be vocational and technical. But also to join the minister, I think this is a national emergency for youth unemployment. So I commend you, Mr. Minister. I will join you, and I think the Ministry of Youth and Sports have taken on.
Thank you.
That's very, very important.
Mr. Silla, I appreciate your intervention. Two more calls. Good morning. Yeah, you live. This is at the TVS. You're breaking. You want to change your position? Or he's off, so go ahead.
Our minister this morning was reassuring such a wonderful thing for the young people of Nigeria. Mama, the one thing I tried to listen to the minister clearly, but I see him outlining one thing is the issue of when you expect young people to start addressing their mind now because it's like he spoke on the issue of young people going into areas that are not necessarily for jobs. So it's like I would really appreciate him and outlining those areas that he thinks
Okay.
are available now for jobs when it comes to the market of the young people.
Okay.
And this is not Ministry of Youth and Sport issue, as you rightly said, it's calling on state actors and other donors to be able to get involved in making sure that young people be empowered for the betterment of our own state.
Thank you.
But
Good morning.
She's great. Just walk from where you are. The location is bad. Yeah, go ahead.
It's lit. The minister just said it. Wherever you start, there will be complaint. You say it lit with the job at PTC. You said that.
No, he doesn't.
I was really. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. Go ahead, Bob.
Minister, congratulations so much. You have made significant improvement when it comes to the youth education in Liberia since you took the position as youth and sports minister. Having said that, I would like to suggest that if you would do it on a daily basis or even quarterly, where the youth of the various or vocational centers gather at youth and sports to have an inter-exchange of ideas that you'll be able to select the very brilliant one that you put them into positions in society where they will be working. That, of course, you can be able to keep guide on the improvement. So you will educate the Liberian society how many youth have really been employed by government. Because every day they are accusing government of not employing the youth, and you have a significant impact. So congratulations and keep it up, and thank you for it so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think we can
okay,
get
yes,
a
sir.
response from the minister.
I didn't understand Mr. Gray well,
But he was saying that that was the first issue I've done.
but it takes time to construct. I mean, we've been doing a lot under this administration. The Timintu Agricultural Training Center was constructed. The Clay Agricultural Training Center was constructed. So there are activities happening. My argument is that we need to do more. It's not sufficient, and we need to elevate the issue of youth unemployment to a higher level, so that we can do more in tackling unemployment. And I also pointed out that apart from the unemployment issue, we also face an unemployability issue where capacity development comes in,
Skills.
and skills training and skills development for young people come in. A majority of our young people lack the basic skills, and we have done scientific studies that has informed us about where we are. And if somebody asks where are those areas that have the potential for creating jobs, this same survey that I mentioned informed us that the agriculture sector is really underutilized. So much so that even in cases where there was one institution that had one concession that had available jobs on agriculture concession, and there were nobody, no youth or no Liberian that was so ready to access the available jobs. So it means that when we train our young people, we have to ensure that the training is in sync with the anticipated available jobs that will be available on the market. So the agriculture sector is one key area that has been tested and determined that will be able to absorb most young people. Also, the other issue is entrepreneurial development. Some young people don't want a regular job. They want to be entrepreneurs. But can you walk to a bank now as a young person with a very brilliant business idea and get a loan? The environment is a constraint to access the banking sector for young people. So that has to be dealt with. And like I mentioned earlier in my discourse, the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Youth and Sports prepared a documentation and sent to the World Bank and requested their support, their partnership with the government of Liberia in addressing on a larger scale the issue of youth unemployment and entrepreneurial development. And we have received initial positive response. And by next week, no, within 2 weeks, a team from the World Bank will be arriving for us to consummate the concept and design a program that will it's not a beginning per se, but it's a continuation of the Youth Employment Skills Program, the YES, the Liberia Youth Employment Program, all being harmonized under one umbrella with more support, more funding. We're talking about close to $100 million within the very foreseeable future, meaning within this coming budget year, so that we can do all of the things we want to do. The EPAC program that is being run at the Ministry of Gender, that has been used as a shining example by the World Bank itself. We have people from Brazil who were asked to use the Liberian model for EPAC. We have people from, I think it was the other group of Sierra Leoneans, who were asked to come to Liberia and see how EPAC was done. That is the girls program being run at the Gender Ministry. The LYEP itself, though we are complaining here that it's not so good, I've been asked to come and make presentation to the Colombians because they want to start such a program. Though the LYEP is small and we are not touched, we've touched only 3,200 young people. It's a program that has received rave reviews from our international partners. So they say, look, what we're going to do, the YES project is we launched the phase.
Who initiated it? It started from here?
It started from Liberia. It was a Liberian project. It's 100% funded by the government of Liberia.
I mean the concept.
The concept was done by Liberians who are still here. And these are the same people who are working on our TVET, including people like Mr. Moba, Mark Moba, James Colley, who's at the Finance Ministry. They work on, along with the former Minister of Youth and Sports, Minister Vapla, Jesse Bengu. All Liberians, they gave the concept for the LYEP, and then we were lucky to be the ones implementing it. But there are still more to be done, and we recognize that. But we want to urge our young people to also take advantage of training opportunities. When we try to recruit these people who would go into the health sector, a lot of people turn out, but we need them more. And I was very happy that most of those who received training from the UNFPA funding were girls, were young women, and they are ready to go into the field because there could be available jobs, which are very limited, I must admit. But when you don't try to seek training and seek capacity to be able to access jobs, then our unemployment problem will still persist. But I think we need a grander scale response for the issue of youth unemployment, because once we have an energized young population, an active young population, that means our development priorities will be on the front burner.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Sincerely, I'm very grateful for your time this morning with us. We want to thank you for always being available to share ideas on national issue with our listening public. This is how we bring in the curtains on today's presentation of the Truth Breakfast Show. I have been Mamadi Diagite along with my friend and brother Solomon Webb. Stay tuned for the best of programs from RCA. We wish you the best. See you tomorrow morning, inshallah.